So what say you about ignorance and when it's not coming from a bad place?
Right.
Like, let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so ignorance in terms of just plain ignorance, not hateful ignorance.
Right.
Not like these people don't want to work.
Yeah.
They're all lazy.
It's important for the people that aren't ignorant to recognize when something... It's one thing to be ignorant but mean well, and another to be acting on ignorance, right?
Well, there's like my grandmother ignorant, who was like, you ever date a black girl, I'll kill you. Right. Like that sort of ignorance.
Right. That's not good ignorance.
That's not good ignorance, but it's also not like
it's like
that's not like let's get a rope and
she's grandfathered in.
Right.
She's grandmothered in.
She's grandmothered in. But she's also been dead for 10 years, so she's not affecting anybody.
Right. It's so funny how that's also like slightly forgivable. It's just shrugged off.
I think when you're that old, you know what it is? Because society moves in these waves of like what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, and the old has to die out for the new to rise. So it's just like it's good that it gets to a point that you could look at it with a little bit of like affection, like these old coots, they're so charmingly racist, you know, because they're not like my grandmother, and I wager anybody listening to us grandmother, except for maybe down south, maybe was never like listen, you ever date a black girl, I'll kill you. Also, I'll string them up in a tree. You know what I mean? And like, you know what I mean? Like, my grandmother never did that. My grandma was always just like, I'm Italian. I lived in Italy until I was like in my 30s.
I know what I know.
I know what I know. I know what's good. America as a whole is scary and new. So, you know, and when they moved to Brooklyn, they moved into these like enclaves of like Italians. Like, you would go on the block and nobody would even speak in English. They'd all be speaking. They'd spend the day drinking wine and playing bocce and shit like that. So
yeah, you know what I've heard? Because I live in an Italian neighborhood before. This is funny too. This is like that acceptable ignorance. It's like even when like someone like an old world person like that can accept the fact that like let's say they have like an African American friend or like a Chinese friend like my grandpa, he fought in World War II, right? Like now my grandpa was Cuban, right? But he fought for America in World War II.
Right.
But they fought against like like quote unquote, or back then when they were like in Vietnam, right? Like someone from Vietnam will have a Vietnamese friend now or something like that, and be like, they'll have to say this. They'll be like, oh, he's a great guy, Vietnamese guy, but he's a great guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they'll say that, like an old world guy. Like I've heard that in like Brooklyn or in like neighborhood from old people, like black guy, good guy,
good kid.
Yeah, they have to like right after it. They go, good guy, good guy.
They gotta calm everybody
like,
down.
No shit. Like it's so funny, and it's like totally acceptable.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what do you mean? Why do you have to say good guy? I don't even know, because
he's black. So. Talking about that carries certain reason. You know what I mean? It is. I mean, it's funny to us, I guess, but like I said, it's not.
But just that very notion shows that they're like, well, not all black people are bad people.
Right.
So then why do you gotta say black guy? It's just so stupid. It's like, good guy, not like the bad blacks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
One of the good blacks?
Yeah. So if there's isn't there good and bad everybody?
Sure.
I mean, like this is really what we're getting down to basically here. The most trite bullshit.
We're all the same. It's all pink on the inside, people.
Every one of our episodes should like end with like a 80s sitcom lesson.
The most obvious one, too. We're all the I don't know. I mean, I grew up in a very white area and went to school all white. Our high school, we had 2 black students.
Yeah, we had 2 black students that were in our graduating class.
Yeah.
Right? That's it, right?
That's it.
I could say we shouldn't say their
I'll
names.
never forget their names to the day I die.
Yeah. One
was a kook, and the other one was, he wasn't a kook because he was black. He was just a fucking kook.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Like, I don't know. Like, I've never really even seen racism in action. You know? Not really. Like on TV.
Oh, you mean like bad racism?
Yeah, like in person.
Well, all racism is bad.
Well, right.
Except for the forgivable, like, except for the ones anyone just laughs off, like we just said.
Right.
But you've never seen something horrible, like.
Not with my own 2 eyes. And I don't mean that in like a Bigfoot sort of ways. I don't believe it exists because I didn't see that. And obviously I know it exists. But like even growing up.
Well, you get shit for that because even our friends like will tell you like that we have like apparently like people who, like, there's people that see racism like every fucking minute
I know.
of every day.
That's what I'm saying. So that is shit that I'm always like, when I hear that, because as you get older, you get more diverse friends and stuff like that, and you learn new people, and I'll ask, like, I'll just flat out ask. I'll be like, what have you dealt with? And some of the crew on Impractical Jokers, we have a lot of fucking
non-Caucasian crew members,
guys working
really of every
right.
Spanish, black,
and I'll
Asian,
ask them.
Everything.
I'll just flat out, I'll be like, because I'm always interested in that. I'm like, this is my experience growing up. This is it. I know that shit exists, but I've just never been exposed to it or a victim of it. Could you tell me about it? And like, it's fucking horrible. Like one of the guys on our crew was a little kid in Central Park with his father. He goes, and somebody just came up to them.
I didn't want to hear this.
And just started saying like horrible things to him. Yeah. That's like,
that's fucking nuts. But probably a nut case.
A nut, but it's just like, obviously a nut, but it's just like, I wouldn't even know how to, like, to just be somebody from, like, you're in the park with your dad and somebody just comes up and starts just saying shit. And that's still you're not getting killed. That, you know what I mean? It's like,
well, you just made me wonder if I was ever inadvertently, accidentally, or unaware of accidentally racist. It's a law of averages. I guarantee. Like, even if it was not racist in a belligerent way or anything like that, but like, I wonder if anyone was ever offended by me when I didn't mean to offend anyone at all.
I mean, go back to the Chinese-Japanese conversation of 10 minutes ago. I'm sure somebody was.
Is really offended about me?
Yeah.
But what would you be offended about? By that?
I don't know. I was only kidding.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I think that it's hard. I mean, it's not hard for us. That's the wrong thing to say. But like, we're in such a privileged position that this is where I check out, because like, we're just, you say it all the time. You coined it. Like, we hit the genetic, what do you say?
Geographical, genetic, everything.
Gender. That was it.
Yeah.
Jackpot. We're white males born in New York City.
Yeah, that's it.
The fucking odds of that.
Well, yeah, because there's 6.5 billion people on Earth. Right. So to be born on Earth.
Right.
And then in the United States.
Right.
And then in New York.
Right.
And then be white.
Right.
And be a male.
Right.
I mean, you
hit the jackpot.
That's
like, the advantages that you have the second you pop out are fucking enormous.
Right.
And more enlightened people, the problem is that I don't give a fuck. Like, I stopped caring about shit at a certain point because, like, life's hard. Even with those advantages, life's fucking hard. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I get out of bed, I want to kill myself. So it's like, but it's just like, even with those advantages, the thing to do in that position would be like, to just kind of, be hyper aware of our advantages and be, hyper aware of how other people don't have those advantages. But it's just fucking exhausting.
Oh yeah, that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah,
you can't be that self-aware 24/7. No one can.
Yeah, I don't even want to. I just want to play video games. Like, I don't want to think about social ills and probably like that. Like, I don't. That's where I stand. But that's just beaten down, and I'm 37 now. I'm heading into middle age. Like, I'm just ready to retire already. So